Coming up in this episode,
when we finished in the bus afterwards, we were waiting for Cav at the podium because we wanted to sort of all celebrate together. So we sat in the team bus and there's no alcohol in there, and we were pulling up the floors of the bus where they had these sort of storage compartments and dragging out old bottles of champagne and wine that they'd won at races during the year, you know. So there's like a podium bottle from the Tour of the Basque Country. One in particular I missed. I was in the front of the race, but behind, Julian Dean got shot by someone with a pellet gun.
Potato gun.
Pellet gun, yeah. It looked like very similar to what Simon Yates did this year at the Giro.
Yeah.
It looked just like
Wout
that
Van Aert up the road.
for about 10 minutes.
Yeah. And then at the point you dropped back, how far to go was there still?
Well, we had about 12k the climb,
Yeah.
and then about a 20k descent into the finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the reaction at the end?
At least you tried, Brad. So as a pro rider, Graham, spent lots of my time training out on the open roads. It's fair to say I had my fair few run-ins with cars and a few accidents. One in particular I can remember was the Tour de France champion, 2012, heading out locally on the roads in Lancashire and got hit by a van that was coming out of a petrol station.
Like a lot of us, it can be impossible to avoid.
So there are always risks riding your bike out on the open road, and that's where our sponsors come in, CAMS. Cycling Accident Management Services help cyclists get back on the road, whether you're a pro rider, a weekend cyclist or a commuter. They work with local cycle shops to provide quick and hassle-free bike and helmet replacement. And they provide full legal services for any claim you might need to make. And if you've been injured, CAMS will help with all the rehab, including physiotherapy and psychological support to get you back on the bike. But what I love most about CAMS is that they are for cyclists by cyclists. They support the cycling community through partnerships with cycling events, pro athletes and men's and women's junior cycling teams. To find out more information about CAMS and other road traffic accident claims, visit the CAMS website or click the link in the show notes. Welcome listeners to another episode of Sir Bradley Wiggins Café Aficionado. This episode is sponsored by CAMS, the UK's leading accident management company, helping thousands of cyclists get back on the road. Today's guest on Café Aficionado is a man I spent a lot of time with growing up. Two-time stage winner in the Tour de France, Olympic medalist. It is, of course, Steve Cummings, who was the master of winning stages from the Breakaway. I'm joined, as ever, by my lead-out man, Graham Wilgoss. Graham, I'm very excited about today's episode. We're going to have to keep me and Steve in check, because back in our day at Team Sky, we were actually separated from rooming together because we laughed too much.
Yeah, I love
So
this.
you've got a job on your hands today, but it's going to be a great episode.
It's definitely going to be a great episode. One, well, as ever, we're both looking forward to. But yes, because of your shared history, this one in particular is going to be a lot of fun. As part of our kind of breakaway episode, it's because Steve was successful on or over the Col D'Aspin on one of his two Tour de France wins. We're going to focus in on that particular climb today. So the Aspin, 12 kilometers at 6.6% with a maximum gradient of 9%. Elevation gain of 792 meters, max elevation of 1,488. Located, of course, in the Pyrenees as part of the Circle of Death. You've ridden this one a few times yourself. Not an easy one. Tends to be used as sort of part of the build-up to the final climb to a summit finish, doesn't it?
Most climbs in the Pyrenees are tough. I always think the Pyrenees is harder than the Alps, but the Col D'Aspin, normally used as the penultimate climb to any summit finish or the last climb of a Pyrenean stage, as was featured in the 2012 stage when we went over the Tourmalet, the Aspin, and of course the Peyresourde when we finished in Luchon, myself, Froome and Vincenzo Nibali. So another tough stage.
Another tough stage. Steve rode that day too, of course. Before we get into it with Steve, quick shout for the socials. Hit follow on Café Aficionado, wherever you get your pods. Watch us on YouTube if you're not already, and join us on all the usual social platforms at Sir Brad's Cafe.
So big pleasure today to welcome Steve Cummings to Café Aficionado, Graham.
Isn't it? And Steve, it's good to see you looking so well, because the last time we saw you, in front of a microphone at least, you could barely move. You were in what I can only describe as a dog collar that kind of, well, went around your neck, but kind of kept your whole upper body in one place. So
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well, I have no memory of those years. So that was, I mean, you were on the podcast before.
You're always taking a mickey about that, don't I?
Yeah.
I was fixed from my hip to my.
I remember.
To my neck,
yeah.
It took you about 2 seconds to start taking the mickey out of him as soon as you saw it.
Well, we went to a Chelsea-Liverpool game, and he was in the away end at Chelsea in the Liverpool section with this neck brace on. We all had to look after him.
I think you'd broken 4 vertebrae.
I think maybe more, yeah, but
Maybe
somewhere around that, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, good to see you looking so well
Yeah,
this
thank
time.
you. Yeah.
We're here obviously to talk about the Col D'Aspin, and as a man who has conquered it on the way to winning one of his 2 stages of the Tour de France. Specifically today, we're going to focus on stage 7 of the 2016 Tour, with you riding 4 Dimension Data to begin with. And not only the Col D'Aspin, Brad, but it's a breakaway episode. So as mentioned, Steve's
the master of the breakaways. I mean, he's one of the best to have ever done it.
So Steve, a break of 29 riders, huge break you don't often see. You certainly don't often see nowadays. Particularly in the Tour, but with 40 kilometres to go, you saw the danger and you bridged solo. Was that a moment that the rest of the peloton kind of thought, okay, the break's gone, so we can relax a little bit, and then you had to pick your opportunity to escape and bridge across?
No, it's always like the first part. The race is always in 3 parts, really. So the first part is like getting in the break, and I had a lot of help actually from Renshaw, Eisel, these riders who were great riders to help me get in the break, because it was kind of a flat start. So that's the first thing. And then once you're in the break, you start to analyse like who's in the break with you. And it was, as you say, it was 29 riders. But I remember it's like Cancellara was there, Tony Martin was there, Nibali was there. And it was a hard stage for me the Col D'Aspin. It's probably, if you go head to head with Nibali, there's only going to be one winner normally. So
both up and down as well. Nibali obviously descender.
I mean, we talk about the downhill after, but the downhill's pretty straightforward, to be honest. There's a few corners at the bottom, but other than that, it's straightforward. But so you try to analyze, okay, what's the best situation and how you can create the best situation, and then but you have to be open as well, because it's a constantly changing environment, and trying to play your card as best you can, really.
So you're on the climb.
Yeah.
Not necessarily your forte, if you, like you say, if you're comparing yourself to Vincenzo Nibali.
Yeah.
Are you thinking at that point, okay, I need to keep a certain distance between myself and the chasers here?
I think if you go before the climb, there was 4 riders who broke away, and they were about, I think, like 20 seconds, and I saw that as like an opportunity for me to start the climb ahead of like the Nibalis in this world. So I attacked on one side of the island so nobody could kind of come, and then shot across to those 4 riders, and then that just enabled me to start the climb with a little bit of a gap on the better climbers, which was perfect, really. And then once you're on the climb, you're kind of all in, really. You're trying to get up the climb as just as quick as possible, and it's that. And I wasn't thinking about time gaps. I was just trying to think about whatever it is. You go just below the red, and you sit there as long as you can, and that was kind of what I did.
And at what point are you thinking, okay, the stage win goes from being a possibility to, if I keep on this path, it's there for me?
I knew it was going well, because the time gap was always around a minute, and I felt like the power I was sitting on was pretty high.
Can you remember what you sit on? Or trying to sit on? 450?
No, it wasn't that high actually. No. It was around, I averaged 400 for the last hour of the race.
What weight were you then? 71, 72?
Around 73. Yeah. So it wasn't like phenomenal, but we'd been in the break, all day to get there. And I think the Aspen, I might have it wrong, but I think it's 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I can't remember. So it was I'd actually done a lot of power before we got to the Aspen, obviously.
You're the pro.
Yeah. So just hold good power. And to be honest, I was expecting Nibali and to attack and to bridge across. And it's only when you, I guess, 1K from the top of the climb, you think, well, maybe I can win. You have to think like the season had gone amazingly well, really. I'd won the stage in the Tour in 2015, and then since then my career had changed, really. I had never really won at that level. So 2016 I won in Tirreno, I won in Pays Basque, and then I won in Dauphiné. And then at the Tour, it was heavily marked. Cav had won 2 stages, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
He'd had the yellow jersey. And then, it was stage 7, went in the break and won the stage.
You pinpointed that stage.
Yeah.
You did pick your days, didn't you? You were notorious for it.
So in 15, I had like 5. I used to go through the book and put a little X. That's a good one. That's a good one. So I had 5 in 2015. In 2016, my head had gone bigger, and I believed I was capable of doing more. More stuff. So I think I had a 7 or 9. 9 may be optimistic, but if everything went perfectly, you could do this and maybe win the stage.
Who was the DS that day in the car?
So we had Rolf Aldag was talking. Very good. And I can't remember the second. I just remember Rolf Aldag was talking.
He can be a really calming presence, Rolf, from by any account.
Yeah, no, he's fantastic. He just gave me information, which is what I liked, particularly on the downhill. He was good. He was almost like he went into time trial mode and gave you the information like you'd want it in a time trial, really. Yeah.
Do doubts creep in at any point?
No, it's all right. I was okay. Once I got to 1K from the top, and I realised that a minute they weren't really going to come back, and then it was more like just trying to be calm on the downhill, because a minute's you can't close a minute unless you crash, basically. Sure. So fast, but smooth as well.
Yeah. Do you think Steve was always going to be a man for the breakaway? Going back to, because
be honest, Brad.
You rode the track together, of course.
Yeah.
And so you sort of seen each other grow into the riders that you would
Steve
become
was,
on the road.
One of the most sort of impressive bike racers. You could read a race really well, and that lent itself to you sitting at the back a lot. You used to love sitting at the back, didn't you? And you'd pick your day, and you'd sense when the break was going to go, and you were great at getting in the break. And Steve was someone who didn't see much point in getting involved without a clear objective. No point sitting up the front just for the sake of it. You'd rather sit down the back. And once you worked out that you could do that from day one, I remember when you started getting second in La Guelia Trophy and he won a stage in the Vuelta like that, it just became second nature to him. But I remember from day one, the minute he won the Eddie Sones as a junior, I remember in 1998, 97, he won the Eddie Sones as a junior. And I think it was nailed on pretty much from that day, his talent he had.
Did you watch that day in 2016?
Yes, I did, yeah. We were at holding camp before the Olympics in Newport. I think had Cav got off by that point?
No, he did. I think he got off on the second rest day.
Okay, yeah. So he was still in the race, and we were getting ready for team pursuit at the Olympics. So we were watching the tour every day. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you remember sort of getting excited at any point?
Yeah,
at the point you kind of knew.
We just know that once, like to say, once he's all in and nails his colours to the mast.
Yeah.
That it was pretty much a foregone conclusion, because knowing the kind of powers he could push and the weight he was, that it's very difficult for guys like Nibali to close the gap.
Yeah, always fascinated by, when you're in that bubble of a training camp, whether you kind of, even for something as significant as a British win at the Tour, although that year, it felt like we were winning a stage, sort of every other stage,
We won 4 in a week with Cav, yeah. So
I think the one I remember more so was the year before when he won at Mond, which was incredible. Because at that point, you're not expecting Steve to win more stages in the Tour. It's just one will do to begin with.
Yes.
And to win on Mond, I watched Jalabert win up there in 95.
Yeah.
It's a classic finish. And I've ridden Mond in Paris-Nice and the Tour as well, and it's such a tough climb.
Yeah. But you didn't just win on Mond. You won for Africa's team. You won for MTN Quebec.
On Mandela Day, wasn't it?
On Mandela Day, yeah. So... there's no way that was a coincidence. Surely that was a target from the beginning of the Tour, winning on Mandela Day.
Yeah, as I said at the start, we targeted 5 stages, and that one was probably the one that suited me the least, because of the climb was so hard. And again, in Tour de France, as soon as you go in the break, you realise there's the Bardets, the Pinots, the Simon Yateses, the Rigoberto Urans, all much better climbers than me on that finish. But yeah, it was Mandela Day. It was a special day for the team. And yeah, the first thing was getting the break. And I remember being on my limit 3 times to just get into the break, and then once you're in the break, you, as I say, but the pattern settles down, and you start to think, okay, well, how can we win the race? And the idea really would have been to anticipate and again stop, but that never really happened because of the combinations of the teams and stuff in the break. It wasn't. Somebody tried, I think maybe Golas.
Yes, it was. For Ethics Quick Step.
Yeah, and there was too many. There were teams that were too well represented, so they would just commit, to their leader. So that wasn't going to happen. So,
but it was because Golas hit out. Mikhail Golas had hit out. That kind of gave the rest of the break, the rest of the chasing break, a kind of second wind, because it looked for a second or for a few minutes like that might stick.
Yeah,
and then Thibaut Pinot and Romain Bardet went off the front.
It's such a tough climb that as well.
And then two short steep climbs.
It's always roasting hot. The road's melting down there. It's like riding through sticky tarmac.
Yeah, but I mean,
it was really hot that day.
Yeah.
I remember that I was in good shape the day before. I think Van Avermaet won.
Yeah, it was Greg in
Rodez. I think it was Van Avermaet or Sagan, one or the other.
Yeah,
and it was roasting hot, and there was people just going out the back, and I was like, oh, "What's wrong with him?" Because I spent a lot of time in Tuscany at that time, and I was very good in the heat as well. So I think that was a factor.
A man from the Wirral being good in the heat.
Yeah,
it's wouldn't necessarily have called that.
It took a lot of work, but I got there in the end.
And I just want to underline the fact that it was Bardet and Thibaut Pinot that you were going
in
to
their
end
pomp.
with there. In their two of the great sort of hopes for France for the yellow jersey to win the overall at the Tour de France for the first time in 2015. It would have been for the first time in 30 years since Bernard Hinault, or Bernardino as our producer likes to refer to him. But it took the fact that Bardet and Pinot both started playing a game of cat and mouse with each other, and then it almost looks absurd especially when you watch it back now, because you just steam past.
He hit him like Gerrard hit that goal against Olympiacos to get him in.
I was at that game.
But what are you thinking at that point because presumably you're thinking, okay, if all goes to plan for these two here, they are just going to steam away on these climbs, and that's it. There's no catching. There's no catching Bardet if they want it. But
Did you get dropped, or did you just think I'm going to back off a bit here? And
it sounds a cliche, doesn't it? But
because I know you always like thinking A to B as fast as possible.
Yeah, that's what I used to think, and then use everyone around you because it's as you say, it's a cliche, but I think it's also a skill to control your emotion under high pressure. Especially like when you're 35 years old, you've been waiting or dreaming of a chance like that, and you don't want to hit the bottom of the climb like it's the Poggio, because it's not. It goes on forever. So just to be calm and deliver what you can, and don't think about outcome, think about process, and that's, as I say, it's a cliche, but I think it's quite wise. Yeah.
But when you see them, nip past them in the final couple of 100 meters, and they're both looking at each other, and you've got Bardet hammering the handlebars in frustration. We know cycling is not a computer game, but it kind of looks like you've got some sort of power up, like on Mario Kart, the way you just zip past them.
Yeah, the way I tried to explain it really is it's almost like a pendulum shifts. Like on the climb, they're much better than me. They should beat me on the climb, but 1K to the finish, and as soon as we switched to better terrain for me, which was flat and I'll sprint them now, no problem.
Before we move on to the art of the breakaway, just give me what are your memories of winning on Mandela Day for Africa's team?
I think
what was the reaction?
I think it's just one of the I think about it, and I was a sports director actually, and sometimes when things are expected, it's not as rewarding as when things aren't as expected, if you know what I mean. It's the surprise ones that really get you, and I think that was a bit of a surprise. And the team was on a massive trajectory, uphill trajectory in terms of how it was building and how it was. So it's kind of a fairy tale for the team. And
did you realise how big it was until you won? Because by seeing the reaction of everyone,
I was flying high on it, above the. I was and I needed to get down. If I'd have come back down, I could have maybe done something else in the rest of the race. But my body was in the race, but my head was gone. So it took me a while actually to. And I remember sitting at home in September or August after in like a room, just sort of staring at the walls, like, because I was thinking about winning a stage in the Tour, or dreaming of winning a stage in the Tour, and it didn't really seem possible. And then you do it, and you're like, okay, what do I do next? And the thing I thought was next was, it would be nice to do it again. Done it once, and then I started, and then 2016 was much better the season. Yeah.
Well, you grew up on the Wirral in a cycling family, didn't you? And like quite humble. Like, I mean, your dad and that, and your brother and everyone, they all cycled. You grew up watching Chris Boardman on the Wirral. He was the local hero, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Going out Sunday club runs. What was their reaction? Like Davis, your dad's reaction to some winning stage at the Tour de France. I mean, I bet they blew their minds, didn't they? Can you remember talking to them that night?
Yeah, I spoke to them. I called the people who'd helped me, along the way. Yeah. Like, I remember calling, obviously my mum, my dad, and Keith Boardman, called Keith. Just to say, thanks.
Yeah.
What are to round us off here, what are the skills that, if you had to narrow it down to 3, what are the skills required to be a breakaway artist?
To be a breakaway artist, well, you need to be really strong and fit. That's the first thing. So, and then I think you have to spend some time like knowing preparation, really knowing your competitors, the riders, the teams, what the teams are likely to do, what the riders are likely to do. And then I think maybe the mental aspect in being calm in really difficult situations where there's just like, you've got to make your decision. So I think if you do all that prep, like mentally, and you watch a lot of bike racing, I think that informs how you make those decisions in like real time quick.
I thought it was really interesting what you said, Graham, about process and outcome, constantly thinking of that and leaving the emotion out of it. I think that's where probably most people go wrong in a breakaway, letting the emotion get a hold of them, as we saw that day with Pinot and Bardet, at the Tour de France. Why wouldn't they? They're French. But that's a great, not many people would think about that. You're constantly thinking of process and outcome.
Yeah.
It's a great way to summarize it.
And the breakaway, as we know, it will fail 9 times out of 10, but the time that it and more and more so, particularly nowadays, because you get less and less opportunity, just because the GC guys want to win every stage. There's more on it for the sprinters in terms of what they're staking and what they can get from a Grand Tour.
Hi, I'm Bradley Wiggins, Olympic champion and the first British cyclist to win the Tour de France. I've been a professional cyclist for most of my life, and I take every element of my training and preparation seriously, so I understand the importance of finding the right sports nutrition products. For me, I only want the very best products, backed by science and trusted by the world's best athletes, which is why I've joined the team at Applied Nutrition. Whether it's their electrolyte tablets, isotonic energy gels, or recovery protein, Applied Nutrition products are designed to support cyclists across every stage of the ride. Every batch of their endurance range is tested for banned substances, making it a trusted choice for cyclists at all levels. Now, here's the good bit. I've got a special offer for Café Aficionado listeners. Use the code SIRBRAD30, that's SIRBRAD30 on your next order, and you'll receive 30% off. So shop now on appliednutrition.uk and use the code SIRBRAD30, that's SIRBRAD30, for 30% off your next order. Fuel your moment with Applied Nutrition. So welcome back to Café Aficionado. I'm joined by Steve Cummings and Graham Woolgoss. Graham, give us a bit more history of the climb, the Col D'Aspin.
The Col D'Aspin, of course. So I'm going to take you back to 1950, gents. Stage 11, Gino Bartoli and Jean Robic. They both attacked on the Aspin. Large crowds narrowing the road, classic Tour climb, super narrow. Bartoli got bumped by a fan, knocking them both down. Both got up. Bartoli was then... some drunk fans squared up to him and one flashed a knife at him. So that leads me on to asking the two of you, have you ever felt really unsafe on a climb, when it just gets super packed, when you've got, you can barely see 2 or 3 yards in front of you, when you've got the flares going off, it's just chaos?
Yeah, at times, I think. Yeah, there's been a few occasions. One in particular I missed. I was in the front of the race, but behind, Julian Dean got shot by someone. with a pellet gun.
Potato gun.
Pellet gun,
Yeah.
That's the one I can remember the most. But other than that, I mean, I've said before, the fans, you couldn't have this race without the fans and vice versa.
Yeah.
They kind of make the racing what it is, the unique spectacle that is cycling, that the proximity they can get to the cyclists.
Yeah. Steve?
I think I remember outdoors just always being a bit chocker. And I'd been
underselling it excellently.
Yeah. I'd been in the break that day, and I remember G came. I think I did part of the climb with G, and so we must have been fairly good in terms of in the race or not. But I just remember the crowds were mental. Then I got dropped from G and was with Thomas Vauclair, and he got booed pretty badly by the Dutch. Not nice, you know.
Do we think it's impractical to ask for barriers all the way up these bigger climbs? If you're talking about 11 to 17, 21 Ks in Vonti's case of barriers. But do we think it's inevitable that the higher you go, the lower the barriers will come, if you like?
Probably,
Sort of rider safety becomes more of an issue.
I imagine that's the way it will go, But at the same time, I always thought that was the unique spectacle of the Tour de France. And I can remember '92 watching Claudio Chiappucci climb to Sestriere. And he was asking the crowds to move apart, you know, like a sea of crowd, just so he can get through and find his way to Sestriere, as Phil Liggett said.
Is it DS now? What do you say to your riders to kind of prep them for? I mean, obviously they know what's ahead, but what advice do you give to them either before the stage or on the radio when things do start to get a little bit chaotic?
Yeah, do you know, I don't think we...
It's just part of the course, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't think we speak about it too much. I think it's always a shock if like your first tour in terms of like the magnitude of it, and like, it's just so many people, journalists, TV stations, people on the road, and I remember I was a bit like, it blew me away the first one, but then after that, you know, it becomes normal quite quick because you're doing it every day. Yeah, and it's the noise as well. It's hard to hear your teammates. Sometimes it's hard to hear the radio, but as I say, you have to adapt, and that's what I think pro bike riders are really good at, adapting to situations.
Is there a part of you that feels kind of more protective about the guys who are under your control as DS, or the guys you're supposed to be looking after?
Yeah, do you know, when I started DSing, I always felt I took a lot of responsibility myself, which was a detriment to me, just trying to take care of everyone and everything. And you can't. I'm not. Yeah, of course. Like as a lead DS, you have a responsibility, but you have to. Yeah, like you can't carry the burden of the team alone, really. Yeah.
Just to round that story off with Gino Bartali. So that night, despite winning the stage with Fiorenzo Magni taking yellow, Bartali still convinced his team manager to remove the two Italian teams, who were racing, remove them completely from the tour. Going to move it on to 2012, I think, for obvious reasons. Brad, race, Tommy Voeckler won the stage with the Aspin as the penultimate climb in the Circle of Death.
We came off the Tourmalet, didn't we, and went up the Col D'Aspin and then up the Pyrenean, I imagine.
Yeah, but he became the first Frenchman since Robic to crest every climb of the Circle of Death in first place. And as you'll remember, you were not far behind with Chris Froome.
Yeah.
Liquigas had a plan to launch Nibali on the final climb, but he couldn't drop either of you, and you maintained your lead, which at that time was just over 2 minutes on GC. What do you remember of that particular stage?
I remember going over the Tourmalet quite comfortable. Christian Nice went over ahead for Sky. And then I can remember it sped up quite a lot on the Aspin. Liquigas hit the front with Basso. But they lit it up quite a lot, and it was really fast pace. And it really reduced that field down. And then they continued it over onto the Pyrenean, and then halfway up the Pyrenean, there was 3 of us left. And Nibali had run out of legs a little bit to go any harder. But I was certainly on my limit that day in the final 2 climbs.
Did you know on comms that there was no chance of Nibali catching you up because he was shot?
Well, I mean, he still tried to, even when he's shot, he tries to attack. You can never, ever underestimate him or think he's done.
Did you plan that stage with a sort of longer term view of maintaining yellow, or was it just stage by stage at that point?
Stage by stage.
Yeah.
I mean, once I got a 2-minute lead, that was it.
Yeah,
It's just like, I defend this.
Yeah.
Don't need any more.
Yeah, you don't need to think
Don't
too
need
hard
any
about
less
it from
either,
that point.
You know?
So
you rode that tour, didn't you, Steve?
I did, yeah. I came on the bus
Steve was riding for BMC for Cadell that year, wasn't you?
Yeah.
it was a great kit, that BMC kit.
I only remember seeing
Okay.
you once in that tour. We were going over a climb at the top of the climb, and you came up beside me, and it was the only time you said hello to me. We were on rival teams, you know. Cadell was my adversary, and Steve was his right-hand man.
What was Cadell Evans like to ride for?
Yeah, good. Quite intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he just very, very hungry to win, and yes, at times he could be like emotional, and that could spill out and come out maybe in the wrong way. But he's a good guy, and demanded the best from the team, which I think you need characters like that in the team. So
And TJ went over him that year, didn't he? TJ, I think, finished 5th.
yeah, it's difficult. I think, as I say, I think he took it personally. He loved Andy Reese, and they had a really quite close relationship. He loved the management, and he was like the star rider and paid a lot of money, and he took his responsibility like very, very personal. So when it's not going well, he probably felt like he was letting them down. And as you say, TJ was 5th on GC, I think, and Cadell was 7th or 9th. So that was, he wasn't performing to what he'd hoped or expected. But the only pressure really was the pressure he put on himself. Yeah.
What are your tactics when you're chasing the race and you've got Team Sky in yellow, and the game's quite simple for you both?
Yeah. Often, like we talk about these mountain stages, medium mountain stages, they're typically when teams might try and put a rider in front, so you call it a satellite rider or whatever, and then try to spring a surprise, even though it's not really a surprise, or use a climb that's a bit further away from finish that might be a bit steeper, where you can put someone who's more suited to less shallower gradients, let's say, and try and crack them on the steeper gradients, or hurt them from further out, basically. And then I guess the flatter stages is all about positioning and, let's say, controlling the chaos and not getting caught out or losing any time, and the opposite is like you're always trying to put the opposition under pressure and gain some advantage. Then of course the TTs. Yeah.
As a satellite rider, presumably it's not for a lot of riders, I would assume it's not the place you want to be. You don't want to be the one who's having to put the effort in and go all out and then wait for your main men to catch you up, because then you've got to, it's like 2 efforts in a day, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got a picture actually of me and you on in the Giro when I was a satellite rider, and we went up Monte Grappa together.
Yeah, I remember that.
I did like 500 meters for
I didn't know what we were doing that day. I just remember did you go off the front?
I was in the break, and then I think I
attacked
there.
for some reason. I thought it'd be a great idea to attack Basso, Nibali, Garcelli at the foot of Monte Grappa with shit form, and they let me go to start with this climb. We're only a K into a 10-15 kilometre climb, and then I come across Steve round it. Then we both off the front. And so I was like, what should we do now? So Steve started riding as if I'm like trying to win the Giro this day,
In my mind, you were.
I was
like, here we go.
Like, everyone in the team car's like, getting excited, like, wow, Brad's really going for it. Then Steve like swung over and went on. And then I thought, well, what am I going to do now? I actually didn't. Why have I done that? Why have you done this, Brad? What was the point in that? So then I sort of drifted back to the group. They got dropped. So that was that. Yeah, funny one.
Sometimes it's just nice to have a bit of fun.
But it
off the
looked
front,
good.
It would have looked great, and
It looked like very similar to what Simon Yates did this year at the Giro.
Yeah,
it looked
with
just like
Wout
that
Van Aert up the road
for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, and then at the point you dropped back, how far to go was there still?
Well, we had about 12k the climb,
Yeah.
and then about a 20k descent into the finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the reaction at the end?
At least you tried, Brad.
Yeah.
At least you tried.
Gave it a
No,
crack.
I actually didn't get dropped from the group. I stayed with them up to the summit, and I actually finished in what was a 12-man lead group that day. But
You were 5th on. Were you 5th on
I'm
GC?
still riding 5th overall at that point. Yeah.
And then Dario had to do GC, didn't he?
Dario, of course. Yeah. 'Cause we had the tour after, and we were like there preparing for.
Dario Cataldo.
Yeah, Dario.
No, Dario Gioni.
Oh, Cioni. Sorry, Cioni. Yeah.
You got to try.
Yeah.
Got to try. Should we do the ultimate cyclist?
Yeah, little quiz one for you. When you won the stage in the World Tour, do you remember who presented you on the podium with your flowers or trophy?
Oh God.
I remember. Was it Diego Maradona?
Oh no, that was in Dubai. That was Dubai.
Okay,
yeah. Touched by the hand of God.
Yeah. So Steve also was presented. When did you win the stage? Did you? Was it stage win?
I think it was, we did second or third on GC in Dubai,
And
which is
Steve
now
met
UAE.
Diego Maradona on the podium.
What year was this?
Oh,
2012, 13.
yeah, around then.
Yeah. It was your WhatsApp picture for many years, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
You and Diego Maradona.
I love Diego.
Yeah.
I like good character.
Yeah, well, all time, and this is a too often used word, but actual legend.
Yeah.
The greatest.
Easily.
Yeah. Talking of greatest, what about the ultimate cyclist, Graham? Your favourite segment?
I do enjoy the ultimate cyclist, and who doesn't? Steve, are you familiar with our ultimate cyclist? What we're building here at Café Aficionado?
Well, if you aren't, Steve, Graham's going to explain it to you now.
do you want to give this one a crack?
You do it, Graham.
No.
I insist.
So for each of our guests, we ask them to give us a cyclist from either cycling history or a rider that they have ridden with for a specific attribute. And when we put all of these attributes together, the idea is that we will build the ultimate Café Aficionado, ultimate cyclist. And so today, Brad, we are doing the best poker face in honour of a man who knows what he's doing in the breakaway and perhaps needs to save a bit of power, tuck in and say, when someone's flicking the elbow, just to go, I haven't got it, just shake the head. Yeah. Who has got the best poker face in cycling? As you're our guest, as is tradition here, I'm going to ask you to go first, Steve.
Laurent Jalabert.
Jalabert, why?
His face never, he transitioned from sprinter to climber and his face was always the same.
Fair enough. Okay.
That was 5 seconds.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to go with Jalabert's a good call. There's so many you could choose from on this one, but Jalabert, I think, even when he was trying hard, never grimaced, and he never, I wouldn't think he was necessarily poker face. He was just, you couldn't tell from his demeanour all the time. But someone who I raced closely with and against and was in situations where I looked round and caught him grimacing, but when he saw me looking at him, would do the poker face, and he was very good at it. Was Vincenzo Nibali. Yeah, he was incredible at his mind games, and you never knew what kind of shape he was in, because even if he was feeling bad and in a bad place, he would attack just to make you think he was good. So Vincenzo Nibali for me.
He was always, he would do that even to the extent where the rest of his team almost couldn't read him.
Yeah.
Because you'd see his teammates going, okay, look, kind of looking at him or asking him, ready to attack now, and it would just be the slightest kind of nod of the head and behind the sunglasses as well.
Yeah.
It's almost imperceptible.
Yeah.
And so, Steve, I'm so sorry about this because I do hate to disagree with the guest, but for me, it's got to be Nibs. It's got to be Nibs, and we need a man of Vincenzo Nibali's greatness in our ultimate cyclist. But we want our listeners to let us know if you agree with us on this one or any other entries to the ultimate cyclist. So look us up at Sir Brad's Cafe on Instagram. Gents, as we're fast coming to closing the doors on Café Aficionado for this particular episode, I wanted to cover off a few other things because you go back a long way, the pair of you. 2004, the Athens Olympics. You were silver medalists in the team pursuit together.
Well, before that, we rode the European Championships together in 2000, didn't we? With Russell Downing, Jamie Alberts in Poland, wasn't it? On the road.
Yeah, Poland.
Yeah. And then we had
you won the Europeans. Where was that? Czech.
Bruno,
yeah.
But when we went out with Pete Smith after, we had a pact.
That was a good one.
Can't say what the pact was, but that was in 2001. I won the individual pursuit.
We'll put it in the show notes.
In the show notes, yeah. Steve's just had a triple heart bypass. Yeah, he's 74. Shout out to Pete Smith. So then anyway, so we were all the early 2000s. I remember us in that in Brno, dreaming of being professional cyclists. Do you remember us watching the 2001 Tour de France was on? We watched the team time trial that Credit Agricole won with Julich, Grady and all that. We were watching it that week while we were at the European Championships. But then of course, we rode the Olympics in Athens together, team pursuit final. Steve's first Olympics. We got a silver medal if anyone wants to look up the pictures of us, how young we used to look.
Unusual for you to come out with silver.
Well, I mean, we were quite happy with that then. I'd won the individual pursuit, and we rode the team pursuit the next day. We were up against an incredibly strong Australian squad. They broke the world record. Brad McGee, Graham Brown, Brett Lancaster, Luke Roberts. And really, I mean, shamedly, you know, when I look back, I knew we were never going to beat them because we were miles off them. So, yeah, it was the best we could hope for, silver.
You both came away from, I've got to mention, 2011 and the road race that Cav won in Copenhagen. Both a big part of the team there too.
That was, I think, my greatest experience with the British team in anything we've done. You think that team, we had, it was a who's who of British cycling, you know, at that time. And you think of the names Jeremy Hunt, David Miller, Ian Stannard, Steve, Chris Froome, Geraint Thomas. Is there any others in there?
Cav,
of course. And, you know, from start to finish, we knew we were the dominant force that day.
Yeah.
And your job to ride early on.
me and Froome were.
And I was really upset with that because I wanted to ride early on so I could get out early. And David Miller goes, Brad, you're going to have to stay at the back with me. I'm captaining the day. And so Dave was the reason I stayed back all day because I was like, can I just do the first 100K on the front and retire? And they coaxed me into just sitting there all day. And Steve and Froome did the first 200-odd-K on the front.
200K. You nearly never got a go, did you?
And we just waited and waited and waited and waited all day. And it went like clockwork, didn't it?
It was until the last K.
Last K when we weren't there.
Yeah.
And G took over. And, yeah, but that was the only time we weren't really on the front. But it was an amazing day. And you know, it's so easy to do that kind of effort when you know you've got the best sprinter in the world.
Yeah. What was your relationship with Cav like when you were riding?
Yeah, like everyone, hot and cold, but he's I love him. I still keep in contact now, and he's got a heart of gold. But that's one of the things that sticks out in my mind from my career as well. That day when Cav won the Worlds, it was really unbelievable to be part of, actually.
One more on David Miller. Didn't he want to go out for, I want to say, nibbles afterwards?
Drinks and nibbles.
Yeah, no, so it was Dave, when we finished in the bus afterwards, we were waiting for Cav at the podium because we wanted to sort of all celebrate together. So we sat in the team bus and there's no alcohol in there, and we were pulling up the floors of the bus where they had these sort of storage compartments and dragging out old bottles of champagne and wine that they'd won at races during the year, you know. So there's like a podium bottle from the Tour of the Basque Country, popping history, and so we're quite merry by the time Cav gets back, you know, more than merry, you know, as cyclists are when they like to drink all year. And then Dave was like, what should we book a table for dinner? Where we go? So we're starving, all of us. We're all drunk, you know. And Dave's like, no, dude, guys. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to start with tapas and nibbles. Tapas and nibbles, wasn't it? And me and Steve roomed at that World. Remember? So we were just laughing at Dave's tapas and nibbles line. And we got back to the hotel. We all still had our skin suits on.
We have drinking beer in the lobby.
I've still got my shoes and overshoes on at this point. 3 hours later, and we're all signing each other's skin suits. And Dave's going, guys, 20 years from now, we're going to have a reunion of the World Championship team. And the night just descended then. I lost my passport dancing in a nightclub. It was just chaos.
Superb.
Great story, right?
Yeah.
You
lovely.
only win the Worlds once with the best sprint in the world.
Yeah, quite right. Talking of having a party, you like a bit of DJing, don't you? In fact, before we get into that, didn't you were a man who quite fancied you could do an all-nighter and then you could in like Cream in Liverpool and then get up the next morning and still be sort of fit and ready to ride.
That was in his early days. Once Steve realised he couldn't do that, that's when he became an MVP. That's when he realised he became a Tour de France stage winner.
Yeah. No, I always like that. Yeah, and then
driving around with no MOT, no insurance. Do you remember those years?
Yeah.
9 points on your licence.
Yeah. Ridiculous, really.
Yeah. Great days.
Before we incarcerate Steve.
But no, that's kind of
Yeah,
and I remember. I can't remember what happened. I think it was like Steve Peters sat me down and said, like, if you don't commit, or maybe it was even Dave B. He said, if you don't commit, then you're out. So I had to commit, and to be fair, I did. I just sort of changed almost overnight.
Yeah,
I had to call Dave every Monday.
I remember
at 9 o'clock and report what I'd been up to.
I'd love to get into this a little bit more, unfortunately, Steve, because we are running a little bit short on time. We've got to ask you 2 questions before we go. So the first one we always ask our guests is, shall I do the first one? The second one? I'll do the first one. What keeps you in love with cycling, Steve, as a DS nowadays?
What keeps me in love with cycling? I was talking before, and I like victories that they're like unexpected. So the underdog, when the underdog wins, I always enjoy those victories. Don't get me wrong, I love all victories, but those are the ones where it's a little bit of a surprise, but it's like a real quality team or a quality rider that wins. I love that. I love to see that. Yeah.
The Jack Bauer breakaway that almost was, when he was caught like 2 yards from the line, that always sticks with me as like one of the great underdog stories that never was.
Yeah, no, exactly, stuff like that. Yeah.
What's your favourite cafe, and what do you order for it when you like a coffee?
Cafe.
Yeah.
Really. Used to be the Mills, but that's closed now.
Is it?
There's a cafe down Burton Marsh now, which is on the D side of Wirral, facing Wales, and I go there now and again for a bacon butty. Yeah.
What would you order from
Bacon.
hot beverage? No, from
Bacon
hot
butty
beverage
and
point
a
of view.
cup of tea. Yeah, have a cup of tea.
Yeah, a cup of tea. Nice.
Old school, yeah.
Old school.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, thank you.
Thank you, mate.
For an excellent chat at Café Aficionado.
Thank you.
We just want our listeners to come along with us, don't we?
We do.
On the socials one last time. Watch us on YouTube at Sir Brad's Cafe. Follow us wherever you get your pods, and join us on all your usual social media platforms at Sir Brad's Cafe. That's it, Brad, for another episode of Café Aficionado. Steve, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Graham. That's another episode of Café Aficionado. See you next time.